Yeah, lovely to meet you. My name's Lauren. I'm Head of Advocacy and Engagement at DFN Project Search. Very catchy, like Nicola said. But essentially, we're a model for supported internships. So we have around 200 Project Search sites across the UK, which are all operating a supported internship. And our goal is to support young people with a learning disability or young autistic people into employment in a supported, sustainable way that's right for them. So over the next 45 minutes-ish, I'm kind of aiming for, so we've got time for questions and things. Hopefully I'll give you a bit of an idea of what Project Search is, who it kind of is best suited for, what a day in the life would look like for a young person who might want to join Project Search. And like Nicola said, I'm super happy to take any questions. I've put my email address at the end as well. So if you want to have kind of a one-to-one chat, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So just to give you a bit of kind of the backstory and the history, because I like a bit of history of where kind of Project Search came from. So it actually originated out in the US. So over in Cincinnati Children's Hospital, our two founders are Susie and Erin, and it started off just in this one tiny site. Erin was the head of the emergency department and noticed that there was quite a significant turnover, really, and a huge lack of anyone in the hospital really employed who had a learning disability or any kind of special educational needs, and thought, well, this is just a huge gap, roles like portering and admin, they're constantly rehiring. So they kind of came up with this diversity initiative. And when she first started looking to employ somebody who had a learning disability to give them that chance, she realised that there's this gap between kind of education and school and college and then stepping into the world of work. That's a huge leap for many young people who have a learning disability. And there's not a whole lot of support, or there wasn't at that time. So they developed Project Search as a model to give a really well-supported package of kind of a route into employment for young people. So that's where it all started way back when. The picture now, there's around 600 programs across the world. It's in 10 countries. Over 49,000 students have done Project Search, which blows my mind. And I don't know how aware you guys are. So the current national average for young people with a learning disability in paid work is around 5 to 6% in the UK, which is just unbelievably shocking. It's nowhere near good enough. But following the Project Search programme, we have on average 60 to 70% in the UK, 65 to 75% in the US go on to gain employment. So we know with the right support and the right job and the right kind of setup, it is more than possible for someone with a learning disability to effectively work in the right place. It's just bringing all those things together, and that's what we're really proud of with our model. That's what our Project Search model offers, is all those pieces to come together to give that right support to that young person at the right time. So obviously DFN Project Search, we hold the provision in the UK, Ireland and Iberia, bit of a random mix. So most of our sites are in the UK. We have a couple in Spain and a couple in Portugal as well. But yeah, we have around 185 programmes in the UK. And they're based in a whole host of different businesses. So we work with a number of hospitals across the UK. Probably over 50 of our sites, I think, would be in a hospital. We have some in local authorities, private businesses, and we are very careful with the businesses we work with as well. We go through quite a rigorous process to make sure that the business has really meaningful positions, is really in it for the right reasons, and is fully prepared to support the young people through the process. So we work with all sorts, really. We work with Asda's, Amazon's, Goldman Sachs, a whole range of businesses across the UK. And as I said, 60 to 70% of our graduates move into employment at the end of the year, and 60% of those are full-time paid positions. So we know it works with the right support. It works. So I'm hoping this works. I'm hoping I shared my sound, but just wave at me if you can't hear this. But this is a video that one of our hospital programs, Pinterfields Hospital, put together, which gives you a bit of just an overview of what a site looks like.
Hello, my name is Luke Anderson. Project Search is based at Pinterfields Hospital.
Hello, my name is John Connor-Widder. Project Search lasts for 1 year.
Hello, my name is Liam Newbegin. Project Search is an internship programme.
Hello, my name is John Morris. 1 hour each day is spent in our training room.
Hello, my name is Emily Robinson. For the rest of the day we'll work in the hospital.
We've been interested in developing an internship programme in Wakefield for a number of years now. And we feel as though an internship programme gives our students the best possible chance of achieving employment, something which is very, very difficult for them. Currently, roughly 1 in 20 adults with learning difficulties and disabilities gets a job, and this is something that we'd like to change. We looked at different internship programmes, and we think that the Project Search model is by far and away the best one we've found. We're very thrilled to have Mid Yorkshire Hospitals NHS Trust on board as a partner. Because of the range of jobs within a large hospital site, the interns can choose from a big variety of jobs to do when they're doing their work experience placements.
We saw it as a really good opportunity. The NHS has got a commitment to increasing the number of people with learning disabilities in employment, and the Trust have made a pledge as part of that, and we see this as an opportunity to fulfil that pledge. I think it's gaining those skills, not only the work skills, but those interpersonal skills, and also the confidence. What we're seeing already with the cohort that we've got, they've only been with us for, I think it's 10 or 12 weeks, but the confidence that they've now got, and the enthusiasm and motivation that they've got. Working as part of a team on a ward or in a department really shows them what work is about, and prepares them for the discipline as well that's needed.
HFT is a national charity which provides support for people with learning disabilities and autism. Our role in Project Search is to provide a job coach who supports the people into the placements provided by the hospital.
I'm working HSDU sterilised surfaces.
Yeah, it's been a great benefit. He fits in well. He's a nice personality. As you can see now, he gets on with the job. He knows what he's doing, but he's also flexible. If you ask him to help you with something, he's more than willing and able to help.
I work in Ward 18 in maternity.
I work in facilities.
I work in the pharmacy department.
I work in administration in Stanley Hall.
I've been working with God's Power for the last couple of months now. He's been helping me out doing the stores deliveries around the hospital. He's a great help to me. Yeah, he's jumped in, he's can't wait to give it a go. He's fantastic.
The great thing about Project Search is that it is a very successful programme in terms of getting young people into work. Part of the inductions of Project Search is travel training, so they travel here on public transport. and they arrive here at 9 o'clock in the morning. Most of our students won't have had an email account prior to coming to Project Search yet. As you know, most job hunting these days is done online, so we give them an email address and we help them learn how to use email, how to send attachments. So it's all very practical work, all aimed at that one target of getting them into paid employment.
I like it because I think it gives a great opportunity for people with learning disabilities to excel and to sort of prove that they are able, capable and willing, I think is an important thing, to be part of a working environment and to give something back to the community.
His confidence is just massive now. He stops and talks to people in the bus queues and people he doesn't know. Everything about him has just come on so much. He's just a fantastic young man. The people that's got him to where he is today, I just can't thank them enough for what they've done. If you get this opportunity to give them that 1 year to just break out of school, just get into the real world with the surroundings that they're in, I just think it's a great grounding for them, and I just think it's an opportunity you just can't miss. You've just got to take it.
So I'll go through some of the pieces that you saw in that video just in a bit more detail in terms of what the programme looks like. But I just think that's just a nice visual way of getting a sense of the site that we run. So the Project Search programme itself runs for one academic year, September through to June, July. And it's similar to an academic year in terms of you get the Easter holidays, your Christmas holidays, etc. Each site has a maximum of 12 interns, so it's small numbers, it's not a kind of overwhelming environment. And most sites, it does differ slightly, but most sites will accept interns aged 17 to 24. It's slightly different in Scotland, they'll accept higher. Students in England have to have an educational healthcare plan. In Scotland and Wales, it's slightly different. There's a slightly different assessment of need, but that's because supported internships are classed as a full-time education programme. So the funding to allow a student to take part in a supported internship is drawn down through that EHCP. So that is an essential criteria. Often it's kind of considered as that last year of college. So they're kind of coming to the end of college. They feel like they're, done with school, done with learning, and they're ready for that next step. And this is kind of that supported step into the world of work. Obviously, they go through all those kind of employment checks. The on-site team would invite anyone interested along to what we call our interest and recruitment days. So you get to meet the team, you get to see the actual environment of the business and ask questions. And the site team will be able to kind of give you information as to whether this is kind of a suitable choice for your young person. And the whole idea of the programme is that the young person rotates through 3 skill building work placements. So each work placement is around 12 weeks long. So it's not kind of your classic school work placement where you might have been making some brews for a week or two and then you head back to school. You are fully immersed in the whole of the work business. You are trained to the same standard as any other person that will be doing that role. And like we said, the biggest thing that we are looking for in any interns coming on is that they want to work. It doesn't work if they aren't motivated to get that job at the end of the year. That's the number one thing that we're looking for in our future interns. So like I said, September through to Christmas is that first work placement for around 12 weeks. And then second placement is through to Easter, and then the third placement is from Easter through to summer. And then they have a big graduation ceremony at the end and hopefully go into employment. And the on-site teams will be supporting the interns to start searching for employment from that kind of rotation 2-ish stage, because it's unbelievable how quickly, with kind of the training and the skill development, how quickly you see our interns grow and become more work ready. So we start doing that process in kind of February, March time. And we have employment planning meetings twice per term as well. So that's where we bring together parents and carers and share learning, share what's been happening, and work as kind of a full holistic team to work towards that employment outcome. So kind of families and carers are really core to the process to make sure that young person gets employment at the end of the year. So a typical day as a kind of project search intern, they would come into class, which is again based within that host business, and they would do just a 1 hour class in the morning, 9 till 10. And it's all, like they mentioned in the video, really practical work skills. So it's, how do you understand your first wage slip? You know, what do all those numbers mean? How do you get yourself ready for work in the morning? Your travel training, how do you write a CV, interview practice, everything that you kind of need to be successful in work. So it's not kind of just your standard English and maths, it's embedded into meaningful practical skills. And then at 10 a.m, everybody heads out to their work placements. Obviously they have a lunch break, and then 3:30 they finish up their work placement and they come back to that base room to feedback as a group and reflect on what's happened, so that if there is anything that they want to discuss or that's not quite gone right, they have that time with the on-site team to go through that before taking any problems home and worrying overnight. They have that moment to kind of reflect and work things out. So a lot of students who come to us quite like the model because it is limited on the education side in terms of the classroom setup. It is just that 1 hour in the morning. And the kind of the cornerstone of our rotations are that they are, like I said, they are meaningful placements where they are doing a full role within a business. So they're gaining really competitive skills, which allow them at the end of the year to really kind of advertise themselves, if you like, on their CV. And because they're there from kind of 10 till 3:30-ish, they're doing 4 to 5 hours of that skill building each day, Monday to Friday. So they, you know, I think that's a big part of why we see interns come on so well and so quickly, because they're doing it repeatedly, day in, day out. They're fully immersed with the team. And like the video mentioned, each site will have a minimum of one job coach who is there to come with the intern, work with them directly in their work placement, to support them with all of those things that go into being successful in a job that no one ever outrightly tells you, but that sometimes you need a bit of extra support to get right. So before I did this job, I was a job coach for 4 years over in our Blackpool site, which I absolutely loved. And I would do things like supporting them to meet the team, you know, on day one, how do you kind of meet the manager and make a good impression? And then right down to kind of breaking down tasks into smaller steps as well. So I spent 2 weeks working with a student, learning how to hoover a carpet effectively. And that's probably something that the on-site team wouldn't have necessarily had time to break down. You know, the manager and the mentor have got other things to be going on. But the job coach has that time to dedicate to that young person to work with them one-to-one. And once that young person got it, he was great. He was, you know, flying. He was away with it. It was just having that extra time and having that job coach there to give that support made a huge difference to that young man. So obviously you're gaining those social skills as well. You're really embedded in that work environment, and you're constantly getting feedback and assessment with that job coach being there on the ground with you at work. You're constantly learning what you're doing well, what you're not doing quite right, and you're constantly kind of getting better as well. So one of the big reasons that we kind of that science works so well, that our model is effective, is because it brings together quite a few different partners to form the model and make sure that the interns are getting the right support. So the first kind of partner is that host business partner. So like I said, we work with a number of NHS sites, but we also work with private businesses like Amazon and Asda trying to think, National Trust sites, all sorts of different sites across the country. And they provide the work placements. And they'll also provide someone as a business liaison who's that go-between to kind of figure out which roles in the business are going to be suitable for an intern to complete work placements at. So they set up all of that kind of practical work placement side of things. The other partner, we have an education partner. So like I mentioned, there's that 9 till 10 class in the morning each day. So the education provider, the college, will provide a tutor to deliver those sessions 9 till 10 in the morning. We have our own curriculum, which, like I mentioned, I think it's fantastic. It covers everything that you need to know that often isn't told to you explicitly, when you're kind of just stepping into the world of work. And that's right down to your kind of social skills and what to do on your first Christmas staff night out, all those kind of intricacies that you might not necessarily have in the employee handbook. That's the kind of thing that we try and cover in those 9 to 10 sessions. And they provide that on-site coordination as well. And then the third partner is our supported employment agency. So the supported employment agency provide the job coach that we mentioned. So that job coach is there on hand to support, particularly at the beginning when the young person is, brand new into the world of work. They're there to give really intensive support. They might be working alongside that intern all day whilst they first get settled. But then that support kind of tapers off as they become that bit more independent and they kind of are getting a grasp of the tasks. So that ideally by the end of that 12 weeks, the job coach is just popping in, checking in with everyone, checking in with the manager and the young person. Is everything going great? Yeah, tick, tick. And they support with all of the kind of job searching as well, and supporting that young person to think about those next steps and getting their CV ready, getting the cover letter ready, all of those pieces. And then once the project search year finishes at the end of the academic year, they also provide a layer of support for those who don't immediately move straight into work. So not everybody would get a job immediately in the June, July. So we have follow-on job coaches who provide that support, particularly over summer, to be able to work with them to keep job searching and to try and find employment. And we can also apply for access to work, which enables job coaches to provide more long-term support for those who do go into paid work. So some people will always require a layer of a job coach, and that might just be for 2 hours a week with a certain element of a task that's a little more tricky, that they're always going to need that support with. So we can apply for that from Access to Work, which is a kind of government pot of funding available to support young people to stay in work who are disabled. And we can also use it ad hoc as well. So we had, especially during COVID, a lot of graduates who had been really steady in a job. They've been working for 4 or 5 years, but obviously world's turned upside down, things changed drastically. Job coaches could come back in and support with all those changes and kind of recoach any elements of the job that had changed. So that's really kind of a safety net, I think, to know that it's not just done at the end of the year. It's not dropped. There's that layer of ongoing follow-on support as well for those young people. And also to give advice regarding those reasonable adjustments, because it's hard to know, isn't it, what you're eligible for and, impact on benefits and all of those practical pieces that when you get to the stage of young person searching for employment, you've got that on-site team there to kind of support you one-to-one with your situation and to give you kind of support and guidance. So that's an extra layer of kind of support there. And then the local authority is another partner. Obviously, they're really kind of key in providing those links in for young people. So especially in educational healthcare reviews, we hope that local authorities are kind of making parents aware that a supported internship is an option, especially towards the end of college. Are you thinking about those next steps after kind of, when they're 20, 21, 22? This is an option available. So It's a big role of the local authority. And obviously they kind of have that more broad role of understanding the needs of their young people in their kind of catchment area and trying to create a more fair and broad recruitment pool. So we have a representative from the local authority on each site steering group to make sure that the kind of site's running and getting the support that it needs in that area. And then the interns, probably the most important partner. So what we ask from our interns is to follow the rules of the host business. You know, it kind of goes both ways. The business is providing them with that opportunity to train in a real job. But that means that they have to be committed to work hard and to, you know, to learn and to follow those rules as well. To attend that daily skills class and the internship, ready to learn. And, you know, we don't want interns who are super ready for the world of work, because realistically, they don't need a full academic year of intensive employment training. We're expecting interns to come with a lot to learn. That's the point. So what we want is them being willing and motivated to learn. That's the key part. Show up each day in proper clothes. Sometimes they'll be given a uniform, depending on the site. A willingness to kind of develop those communication skills and to develop their self-advocacy skills as well. So I mentioned about those employment planning meetings that we have twice a term. I suppose as they kind of build more confidence, by the end of the year, the young person is leading their own employment planning meetings. So they kind of chair it and they introduce each person, and they'll present about what they've been doing in their workplace, and they'll invite their manager to give feedback. So they're kind of right at the core of their own meeting. And then obviously apply for jobs at the end of the year that match the skills that they've learned along the way. And then the final partner are family members, carers, parents. So what we ask of our parents and carers is to actively participate in the interns' progress towards a full-time paid job and kind of provide that layer of support, be it judging and encouraging the young person to get out of bed in the morning, to arrive for 9 a.m. That's can often be the biggest role. Complete the steps needed for the intern to become eligible for support, so filling in the application forms, etc. Taking part in those employment planning meetings, like I said, I think that's one of the biggest things we need really from parent carers, so that we have that really holistic front and we're all aware of where the skills are needed to develop further, and what we're working towards at the end of the year in terms of types of job roles. And then supporting the graduate employee with the ongoing development of employment skills as needed. So what time are we on? Yes, I think we do have time. So we've just got one more video just to show you a young lady who completed the programme.
My parents were told when I was very young that I would never be able to do very much by myself. I've been job searching for over a year, and I kept getting nowhere. I was about to give up looking for a job because I thought no place is going to take me, and then we found out about Budget Search, and within that year I was placed. Hi, I'm Alex, I'm 23. Thanks to DFM Budget Search, I have got a great job here at the Marriott. And right at the end, I had about 4 or 5 job offers. In the end, I chose to stay with Marriott because of their career progression. I have moderate learning difficulties along with undiagnosed autism plus ADHD. My supervisor lets me wear my ear defenders if it gets really noisy. I tend to keep them in my bag because usually I don't need them, but when I do, she doesn't mind me going to grab them and me wearing them. Hopefully, maybe one day, I would possibly quite like to be maybe a supervisor here in the restaurant, but for now I'd rather just gain the experience before I try something like that. I might have those learning issues, but I'm actually very hardworking, reliable, and I'm always on time. Always, I'm never late. I didn't think I'd ever be able to get a job, and it means an absolute lot to me to be able to have one. To the young people with learning disabilities, do not give up. There is hope. Just keep going, and with the jobs, just keep doing your hardest and prove to the world that we can do it. We just might need that little extra support, but we can do it.
And at the end there you'll see National Sport Internship Day. So that day was on the 27th of March. And if you're a kind of social media, Facebook, Instagram type person, there was so much shared on social media that day. So if you look through if you just search for National Sport Internship Day, you'll see some sites and some kind of stories. Because obviously Alex is just one from across the country. Of our graduates, so yeah, it gives you a bit of a sense of some real people who have done the programme, just to hear from them really. So I think I've covered everything. I'm hoping I have. Like I said, I'm really happy to share slides and answer any questions. It was a very whistle-stop tour, and I put my email on there, and my colleague Glenn, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, but Glenn is more than happy to have kind of a more in-depth conversation with anyone who's just not sure what's available in their area and would like kind of a more in-depth Zoom call or phone call. Glenn can go through that with you. And I can also share with Nicola, if helpful, we've got a map that kind of shows where our local provision is, so that you can have a look where your nearest site is and what the business is. But we're kind of constantly evolving and growing. So if there isn't one currently in your local area, then there could be in the next few years. We're always on the lookout for new businesses and new colleges to support us and open up new sites. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, and more than happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Lovely. Thank you, Lauren. Well, we've got lots of questions. They're a switched on lot, my crew here tonight.
Yeah.
So do you want to stop sharing and we can, I'll read them out. Shall I rattle through? Tends to keep them a bit more focused. Oh, someone's just entered a little late. Hey ho. So hi, Justine. Nice to see you. Justine does a lot of work with us on EHCPs to make sure they're fit for purpose. And so which is a challenge, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So Justine's question was asking about does the young person need to be connected to a school or college? Can they come to you direct?
Yeah.
She's particularly interested because Pinderfields is your local hospital.
Oh, really? What are the odds? How strange.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Pinderfields is great. It's a brilliant site. And no, they can come directly. They don't have to be connected with a local school, college. Anyone can refer into the local site.
Excellent. And in fact, there's quite a few questions sort of around that. Erica's asked how to find out if Project Search are affiliated to her son's college. If they're not yet affiliated, it's fairly easy, is it, to become so?
Yeah. So, I mean, if there isn't provision in your local area, then please do pop me an email and we can have a look. And like I said, I can check in. We have a team of programme specialists who cover each region in the UK, so they'll be aware of kind of any potential upcoming sites. And, it helps us if we know that there's families in the area saying we want this provision, why is it not available for us and for our young people? We can then have more fuel to go to the local authority and kind of set up a site in an area close to you. So yeah, more than happy for people to contact me if there isn't one near you but you're interested in joining one.
But do you think what sort of coverage do you feel you've got across?
So we've got just under 200 sites. There's not as many in Wales. Most of them are England, but relatively good spread, I would probably say, across the UK. I can share. Yeah, I'll share the map with you. It's quite funky. It's one where you put your postcode in, and it'll show you, in a visual, how far your radius is. So. Yeah, that's probably
from my experience as a parent to a 20-year-old who we're considering this. The local authority are very receptive because for them it's a tried and tested model. You've got the infrastructure, you've got the history, you've got the credibility, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think that is a good place to be. So Tanya's asked whether which I think you did cover, in fact, subsequently, is it 5 days per week or less? I think it's 5 days per week during term time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you're right, yeah.
But she's asking, what if someone struggles with the amount of working hours, if they sort of find
that? Yeah. So there are different models available. So DFM Project Search, we are 5 days a week. And that's mainly because we want to encourage young people to get employment that means they're able to kind of bring enough money to be financially stable at the end of the year, and, you know, aim for ideally more than 16 hours. So they're bringing in enough funds to be able to support themselves. And we want to be aspirational as much as possible. We do obviously have an individual conversation with people when they're starting, is to see if there's kind of flexibility that we need there, but also to say that there are other models as well. So if you speak to your local college and have a look on your local offer, there are other sports internships that offer kind of 2-day-a-week models or 3-day-a-week models, which might end up being more suited to your young person. We kind of are one of the more intensive models. So yeah, possibly not suited for everybody. But yeah, the on-site teams are really good at being able to chat with you about your kind of child's individual needs and talk through that and how realistic Project Search might be, and whether you want to give that a go with the level of support that's available throughout those 5 days, because that, I think, can make a big difference sometimes. Having that one-to-one job coach who's there in the workplace does kind of alleviate some of those pressures and some of those stresses. So yeah, I hope that answers this question. We're 5 days a week, which is aspirational, but there are other models that
there are other providers, as it were, who do less than 5 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Sophia's asking about vocational profiling. She's not yet been able to find anything that supports performing arts students. Do you have anything in that field?
I mean, I'm trying to think if there's a full host business, because obviously when we're selecting our main host business who are the partner, they have to have enough work placements to support those 12 interns to all be on placement at the same time. So most of our businesses are kind of large businesses like an NHS hospital where there's plenty of employment opportunities. But I was just saying to Nicola before we started the presentation, what the on-site team will do is when you first kind of meet them, they'll do vocational profiling with you and look at what your son or daughter wants to do at the end and what kind of their employment goal is. We can look at doing what we call an externship. So for their third and final work placement, if possible, and if it suits in your kind of geographical area, they can look at setting up for that young person to do their third placement with an external business, so something in the world of performing arts, particularly if there's a likely job there. So then they have the option to take those skills, do a placement in kind of another business, but with the advantage of having that on-site team and your job coach coming to support in that performing arts business in your case. So yeah, the on-site team could definitely discuss that with you and look at whether there's any businesses in the local area that might be willing to provide an externship.
Excellent. So just to clarify, the first 2 terms, are they necessarily at the same site, but they'll be in different, perhaps, departments?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the people were saying that, I can't remember now, someone was in maternity and someone else.
Yeah. And then pharmacy, for example. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the scope that you can spend your first 2 terms at one place where you're kind of getting that hour training at the beginning of the day and the review at the end of the day. The third term, because I was saying to you, Tom's a fitness coach, I was saying, can you get into Nuffield Health, please? And you were saying, so potentially you go to somewhere like that. How would that look then for his hour at the beginning and the review at the end of the day?
It slightly depends on the site and individual circumstances. So in Blackpool, it would depend if the site was super far away from the business, then we we might look at we tend to finish the classes a little earlier in the year anyway, and then they're practicing going straight to work, because that's a whole skill in itself, isn't it? Or it might be that they come and do class as normal, and then they travel to work and they just have a slightly shorter day, because they've got that travel time in the middle, and so they might only be getting to work at 10:30ish by the time they've got the bus. So yeah, the site team would support you with the logistics on that.
Okay, thanks. Hopefully that answers Sophia. So there's flexibility in that third term to potentially, as you say, go to an external organisation.
And we work with quite a few, Compass, who are like a facilities management company. So they have loads of businesses across the UK, and they are so bought into Project Search. But a lot of the sites are nowhere near big enough to provide a full internship. So they are there and they support the local sites and say, if anyone's interested in working in a role like ours, come and use us as an externship. So we do have a lot of sites have those relationships already with some external businesses.
Cool. Gillian's saying that she's heard there's challenges. Certainly recently there has been in the news, hasn't there, about getting funding out of Access to Work. Have you found that? Is that your experience?
Yeah. So Access to Work have very long delays. So at the moment in my experience, applying for supported internship support is much better in terms of wait times. If you're applying for support for someone who's already in paid work, the current wait time is up to 7 months to hear back. So yeah, very, very stretched pot of funding there. In the recent benefit reforms, they did announce that they were going to be looking at reforming Access to Work. They've not said kind of any detail around what that would look like, but we're very welcoming of that and looking forward to seeing what that looks like. But a lot of our sites do successfully use Access to Work to fund the job coach element. And like I said, it does, in our experience with the supported internship side, it's a separate team who deal with supported internship job coach funding, and also funding the travel to work. So for those young people who can't access public transport and who need a taxi, that can be funded through Access to Work as well. So yeah, in general, we've not had as much trouble with the supported internship side of Access to Work. It tends to be for someone who's in employment already.
Okay.
Applying. Yeah.
I was astounded. I mean, I first met Claire Cookson, the former CEO at your organisation, about 2.5, 3 years ago, and she told me they'd just secured these huge pots of money from the government.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, there is money to fund this, which is why you guys were able to do it. And there is sort of flexibility because you're obviously funded to provide these services, aren't you?
Yeah.
So Justine's asking, and I knew the answer to this and I can't remember. What's the difference between an internship and an apprenticeship? That's one question.
So a supported internship is unpaid. It is a full-time educational programme. So the intern is treated as a college student essentially, so they wouldn't be paid, whereas an apprenticeship is the classic earn while you learn, so they'll be earning a wage whilst learning. So a number of our supported interns, when they graduate, will then go on to an apprenticeship. The apprenticeship might be too much of a step straight out of college, so they use a supported internship to build those skills and then step into, again, a slightly more supported route into employment and go on to an apprenticeship. So we thoroughly encourage that route as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So Justine says an internship sounds like full-time education that isn't in higher education. Is there any impact on benefits during an internship?
So as always, benefits is its own tricky little beast, isn't it? So we always say it's best to check in with your local kind of, I forgot what they're called, each job centre has one, disability advisor. There is an official title that's gone out my brain, just to check in about that. Like I say, they are classed as in full-time education, so most benefits shouldn't be affected, but some can be, especially if they're on a higher level of PIP or if they're on the old kind of job seekers allowance, which is kind of being faded out. So, but yeah, it's worth checking in. And obviously the end goal is employment, which would then affect more benefits. So things like UC fluctuate. So as you earn more, your UC should drop. But you can do a better off in work calculation, it's called, online, which you can kind of input all your details and it would show you how employment would affect that. But like I say, job centres should have a specific disability advisor who can give you specific advice on your situation as well.
Thanks. And I think we've covered, have we, Justine, about suggesting businesses that third term gives you that flexibility. Gillian saying, is there any accreditation at the end of the programme, for example, employability skills?
So some sites do. Yeah, I'd say probably quite a few of our sites do for the curriculum side. Some sites use kind of Ascentis and things like that to gain qualifications in that 9 till 10 hour. The whole supported internships itself isn't an accredited programme, but there may well be kind of certificates and awards through the education side, if that makes sense. But we are, I suppose, DFM Project Search is becoming more of a well-known name, which is good. So we are getting employers recognising that, that title on a CV, that someone's done a DFM Project Search supported internship, and recognising the value in that, which is fantastic. So, but the actual programme itself isn't accredited, if that makes sense.
Okay. Tanya's asked, there's a lot of questions, hope you're all right.
No,
are the employment planning meetings a bit like the good old EHCP meetings? So they're specific for a particular young person and their family?
Yes, so very tailored, 100%. And like I said, really, as soon as possible, we want the young person to be leading it. So they'll invite each person in the room to kind of share feedback on how things will be going that term. So they'll have feedback from the manager, they'll have feedback from the job coach, they'll give their own reflections on how things are going, and the parent will feedback as well about how things are going at home. And all of it will keep being brought back to what we're working towards at the end of the year. Because often we'll have someone come in who's dead set adamant they want a job in catering, but then kind of get to Christmas time and they've done the first placement and are blown away by working in, I don't know, the warehouse, and that's their new job. So, that's a big part as well of making sure that we're all aligned to where we're heading to at the end of the year.
Excellent. Isabel's asking, how long in advance do you need to apply? What's the sort of timescales for this?
So, nowish for September, really. It slightly varies by site, but most sites kind of February, March time are starting to really actively recruit for September. But I would say the earlier the better, really. Most sites, even if you're thinking, not for another couple of years, but you're just interested to visit your local provision, they're more than happy to have you down for a visit. So, the earlier the better, definitely. But we also, there are many sites who are not full each year. And like I said, we can typically accept up to 12 at each site, but we aren't filling a lot of programmes. So if it does get to kind of September and you think, I wonder, it's worth checking in with the site. There may still be some spaces.
Okay. Gillian's asked about the average hourly rate of pay. I think you included at the beginning, didn't you?
Yes.
It was £7.50 something, I think. So it's below the national minimum wage. I don't know whether the figure was...
it's possibly out of date. I can check on that because I am fairly sure our interns, when they graduate, are being offered at least matching the average. But I can definitely, thank you for flagging that, I can definitely check on that.
So this is the wage as people leave and go into employment. Yeah, if you could just clarify that.
Yeah.
Do you have many people with Down syndrome taking part? I remember seeing a video and there was someone with Down syndrome, so I've seen a different video.
We love our videos. We have quite a few videos. Yeah, no, we definitely do.
Presenter on National Network a couple of times, so I've seen a range.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, then, do you have many folk with Down syndrome?
Yeah, definitely we have. Like I said, it's nice because we do have quite broad entry requirements. Like I said, an EHCP and a desire to work means that we have many different young people come through the programme. So yeah, we've had a number of young people with Down syndrome on the programme who have gone very successfully into employment. So yeah, and at my local site in Blackpool, we had a young lady with Down syndrome who's been in work for 8 years now. She is brilliant, and I don't think the work team would know what to do with themselves if she left. To be honest, she's one of those who now she just brings
the joy,
brings the joy to the workplace 100%. Yeah, they absolutely love it.
And Sarah's saying, where can we find the map? Is it just on your website?
Yeah, so our map is on our US Project Search website. So if you just Google Project Search locations, it should be the top one that comes up. But I could email you the direct link.
You email it, and then
with
we'll
the slides.
make available the slides and the video,
Yeah.
and we ask for feedback, so we'll send out the link with that as well.
Yeah.
If I remember, because I am actually officially on holiday this week. So it might, if I don't remember tonight. But anyway, right. And how do people apply? What's the process?
Yeah, so you can get in touch with, probably Glenn is the best way. If you look on that map, there's a site near to you. If you contact Glenn, Glenn will get you in touch with the best person at that site. It's often the tutor, who will bring you and your son or your daughter in for one of our interest days, which each site runs slightly differently, but they're typically kind of a couple of hours, and you have the opportunity to come in, meet the on-site team. You get to meet some of the managers and mentors. The young person might have a go at doing some kind of trial stations to see if they like the idea of some of the jobs on offer. So it's quite interactive as well. And the site team can then see a young person in action and give you some kind of guidance as to whether they think from their experience this might be the right journey for you.
Excellent. Thank you. Gillian's done the job. She's put a little link in for the search.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I think we've covered all the questions, unless anyone has anything else.
It's nice to have some questions. Often it gets to the end and there's tumbleweed, and I think that made no sense at all. So thank you, everyone.
Our families, we're all very proactive and want to know everything.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it's great. And like I said, if anyone wants, if you think of anything, 2 weeks' time, feel free to pop me a message. Very happy to speak to people.
Excellent. So, well, hopefully that's given some people some insight into the whole programme and the opportunities for our young people, potentially. It's certainly something I'm considering. My only concern is I don't know how on earth Tom will manage 5 days a week. There's too much else going on in his life that I don't know. Yeah, to have to drop his skiing and yoga and everything like that. So
my dad's just retired. He said, I don't know how I ever found time to work. He's quite quickly packed his schedule now that he's not working anymore.
That's it. Oh, sorry, there's one more question come in. I just saw, where was it? Is there an ideal age at which to get involved?
I mean, so we're very data backed at Project Search. One of our biggest kind of selling points is we have the biggest amount of data of any supported internship provider. And so what we can see then is what kind of groups are doing better. And we know that Scotland do very well with outcomes, for example. And we know that often 16-year-olds can do better in terms of securing work at the end. We always say to interns coming on, doesn't necessarily matter the age, it's that desire to work. So if it's someone who's 16 but who is adamant, absolutely adamant that they are done with college, they are ready for work, that's fine with us, or it might be someone who's 25 and has really needed that extra time at college. So yeah, I think it's totally individual, really. Like I said, the data's quite interesting that 16-year-olds, I think, because they've got that fire to say, I'm done with college and I'm, coming straight to you. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But yeah, very, very happy to take anyone within that age range.
Okay, one of my impressions, and it could be wrong, obviously, is that as a supported internship tends to be the last stage of your education, access to education.
Yeah.
So whilst your EHCP might continue because of the care plan, the education element, my understanding, I can't remember, was from that if you've undertaken a supported internship, the expectation then is that you go into work.
Yes,
Or
yeah.
further education opportunities.
Yes, yeah, you're exactly right. So it's kind of most commonly the model is designed on it being used as that last year of education, and then you'd kind of move into employment. So naturally, your HCP wouldn't be needed because you're in employment. And
Yeah.
if things change in the future, you could readdress that. But yes, exactly right.
Okay, thanks. Oh, we've got a late entry from Louise. I don't know if you're familiar. The DSA has a program, WorkFit. Do you know what the difference is with that?
I don't. Sorry, I'll be completely honest. I can certainly look into it.
Not an internship, WorkFit. I think WorkFit is that they train you to go to a particular job, and from my knowledge, the majority of those are part-time.
Right.
So it's not a program like this is a year's training with the aim to get full-time employment at the end. I think WorkFit is more individual person, that they will place them in a particular company and train that company and support them, but it's not part of a program, as it were. So cool. All right, well, we will wrap up there. So we don't need to send you the map because Gillian's kindly done that, but the video and the slides will be available. I think parents can access them via the parent portal. Oh, another comment. I keep trying to WorkFit with employers to support. Yes. So there isn't that college element as well. Okay. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Lauren, for spending an hour of your evening with us. It's much appreciated. And lovely to hear so much about everything.
Thank you, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
Cheers then, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.